What's up, guys? Can you hear me? Let me know in the Discord chat if you can hear. There's an echo? Is there still an echo? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. All right. How's everyone doing? Good and bored, and Marie's doing good. Tom's well. Yeah, doing well, feeling a bit better. Had to have some dental work done again yesterday, which sucked, but no big deal. So let's get into this afternoon, see what's going on. Markets are still a bit slow. This is just my broad market view again. SCON, reverse split it looks like. I know Tango Baker has some info on it. I'm sure he's already gone through the filings. I have not, but I need to. Main watch going into this afternoon are the Bitcoin stocks again. We have some more sector momentum. Bitcoin itself is up into the 8,000s now, so it's moving nicely. Maybe beginning of a run. If it can sustain some momentum, we might get some good swings out of some of these Bitcoin stocks. I've actually got a position in BTSC right now. Where's BTSC? I don't know. Here it is. BTSC is on my scan. I just took some a little bit ago. Pretty conservative position. Reason I like BTSC out of all these plays, obviously BTSC is an OTC, but you got a little nice breakout. We had a little double top at 0.0855, 0.086 cents. And it's been holding that breakout pretty well all day. So we got some sector momentum here along with a little, multi-week, multi-month breakout. A little bit slower mover, but as far as reward goes, I see maybe this level up here, like 18 cents as possible reward here in the future. It might take a little while, might be swinging it for a little while. If it stays strong, we'll see. But after 16 cents, there's that 63 cents it reached back in December. I don't foresee it doing anything like that unless Bitcoin goes absolutely nuts. So for me, this is just kind of a little breakout play / sector momentum. Actually, sorry, I didn't have the chart up, guys. I got to go back and go through the chart for you. But as far as sector momentum goes, you can see BTSC, MGTI. These are some of the tickers I mentioned earlier. NXTD, Riot. And Riot seems to be kind of the leader today. So that's kind of what I've been gauging some of these other stocks on. Here's BTSC. Here's what I was talking about. I was just kind of rambling, obviously, but here's this 0.0855, 0.086 level where that has been acting as resistance that we broke through today. So, there's not too much risk on a trade like this. I've got 90,000 shares right now at a 0.0865 average. So I'm somewhere right around VWAP. Done decent volume today, nothing major, but you can see this 0.85 level has held decently all day. So yeah, so I got a little positional breakout trade here along with some sector momentum. As long as Bitcoin does well overnight, might get a gap up. and we'll see how I play it in the morning. I'm not sure if I get it to the morning. I'm hoping to get it to the morning. 1 second. So we're actually kind of pushing towards high day a little bit right now. We'll see if this can get going into the afternoon. That would be great. Kind of confirm this breakout would be awesome. I may even add a little bit if it pulls a little bit, but I'm trying to keep this position kind of conservative and allow me to swing it for a little while. But so there's BTSC. Riot has been kind of the leader this morning. Some of these other ones have faded off a bit, but Riot, you had a pretty sweet multi-day breakout today. Did gap up, and that's a strong intraday chart. It's been doing well. I think Riot's kind of one of the main listed stocks people are playing. That being said, just got some we have some resistance on this chart here, like in the 9s. All of the floats are bigger now on some of these Bitcoin plays, so got to be kind of careful with them. Understand that they are going to move a little bit slower. Mara is another one. Similar chart. Mara, BTSC, and XTD. They're all moving together, as you can see. So they're all kind of sympathy plays to one another. So yeah, I'm not expecting anything major. I mean, you know, these first 2 days kind of faked a lot of people out, but they've held up decently. All these Bitcoin plays, you know, they haven't gotten slaughtered. So there is some support here. Maybe the makings of kind of a reversal on a lot of these stocks, and we might kind of get some uptrend now, which would be cool. Let's see. CVSI, that's one I had my eye on. Yeah, I mean, we may have a breakout coming here pretty soon in the 280s. I know a lot of you were actually overnight, and I was talking to Mike, and he was kind of, you know, he had a pretty decent position, but got freaked out on this pool this morning and got out of his position. So when you're holding overnights, it's kind of, you know, it's not an exact science. You have to obviously take the sector into account, catalysts, everything that we always talk about. In this case, got a pretty decent catalyst on a stock that has ran in the past, kind of pushing toward its all-time highs. For me, a lot of what's going to determine whether or not I'm willing to sit through any sort of pool is obviously my risk. There was some consolidation, 216 yesterday, the low like 210 or so. But in the case like CVSI, if I am trying to swing it, what I like to keep in mind is how it moves. And you can even see during this run back in June, May through June or so, like this is a nice run here from 110 to 261. You can see almost every day it did pull a little bit. You know, it did retrace a little bit each day, but saved itself, went green, and then continued onward. So that's kind of what I do with stocks like CVSI, which I haven't traded as much this year so far, but that's, you know, that's kind of my process is like, if you're expecting gap up and spike, then sure, yeah, you know, it makes sense to cut, but at times with a stock like this, if you have a good position and a great average, you're able to sit through some of these pools knowing that that's how this stock reacts. So that's why the daily chart's so important, and to try to kind of keep that in mind. I know Gritani was sitting through a lot of these pools too on a daily basis because he understood that that's what the price action was doing. That's how it was moving. So it is hard to sit through kind of like any sort of morning dump, but when you see a daily chart like this, you get a good catalyst, you have a good entry, you got to try to have some conviction. Like I said, don't blame me if you're getting spooked out, and it does happen. But this is on a nice run, really nice run today. Would have been a great dip buy actually. Sorry, 1 sec, guys. Someone's asking about NIHD. Yeah, there's no real play for me on NIHD. Kind of slower moving. I mean, there is a nice little breakout here over its highs, 475. But it's not just kind of a play that I don't really do. I don't know. One second, let me check something out here. Yeah, the float on NIHD is somewhere 50 million or something like that. Yeah, I just don't see a play for me, but decent chart breakout. I mean, that's what a breakout looks like. Decent consolidation. This could go higher, but I'm going to ignore it. Buyout rumor. That makes sense, Jesse. So on CVSI back 6.6, 6.5 with those big wicks, where do you pick the breakout point? Let's go to CVSI real quick. I mean, for me, you know, it can go either way. I mean, it can be 245 or something like that, where it's never closed above. But I still do consider this wick, because this was a big volume day too. I do consider this wick right here as resistance as well. Not an exact science, but I do consider it significant if it closes above this level in the 240s. I mean, pretty crazy. So markets are a bit slower today again. Like I said, I mean, that's just what's going to happen. I wasn't trading this morning, so I'm not quite sure what happened this morning, but things have slowed down considerably over the last week. So I'm trying to be much less aggressive. I have a small position here on BTSC. I mean, not tiny, but decently small position. And that'll allow me to kind of add if I want closer to 8 or maybe even in the 7s. We'll see how Bitcoin holds up. One second, you guys. I got to take a 5-minute break or so. Hold on. All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second and we'll get back into it. Hold on. One second. All right. All right, guys, so let's see what's going on here. We've got about an hour and 10, 15 minutes here. So we can start getting the questions going again, sorry. Let's see here. All right. So yeah, CVSI could continue to break out. I think it will. It may not be today. It may not get through like 280 today even. It may not be tomorrow. It may pull a little bit. Maybe try to test down back towards 2 again. Who knows? But for now, this is some really nice momentum to the upside. I have a feeling it should break out here pretty soon. That being said, I'm not really chasing this. I'll probably try to get some on a dip here, if possible. Okay. So let's get back into just like the market scan again. 1 second. So here's my process at this point in the day. I have another scan I need to get up real quick. Hold on. Actually, I mean, we can do it later. I've got another scan that is basically similar to this, just weeds out the really low volume. So I think that like at this point in the day, it has a $3 million volume minimum, and that'll just let me see what's done, at least some decent volume throughout the day. You'd be amazed when I do that. It will cut a lot of this out, but I'll probably end up usually with like 10 tickers or less. So right now at this point in the day, my goal is to find anything that might be spiking into power hour and try to catch maybe a late day spike, or try to find something that's setting up for a nice swing into tomorrow. And I think that's the most important part when you're under PDT. Is if you can find a good swing that meets your criteria for overnight, then that can be very profitable as a PDT trader, and you're not wasting a trade, which can be golden. So you don't want to necessarily force an overnight play if you don't want to be forcing them. But if you see something that meets a lot of your criteria, you get good risk reward. That's kind of what I'm looking for at this time in the day. And you have to understand there are a lot of people who are looking for that. There are a lot of people who understand they're under PDT, they need to take overnight trades. And that's one of the reasons for a lot of the pops. A lot of times you're seeing pops into end of day if it's a strong intraday chart and say there's a catalyst, whatever else it is, people are looking for gap ups as well. So that's kind of my process at this point in the day. I'll go through my scans. This is not my narrowed down scan. This is the broad scan. And so like, for example, right now we got SCON. So we'll go to the chart. And granted, I've already looked at these charts, but had I not, We'll throw SCON up, go straight to the daily chart. All right, so we got a reverse split on SCON, and it actually did try to move. It got up to like 12 bucks, and now it's just been kind of baselining. I know this is something I'm not touching today. And you who are familiar with Tango Baker, his conversations and my conversations on this subject, you got to wait for the PR, which there will inevitably be. Reverse split. If they do need to get their shareholder equity up, then they're going to be doing a PR. Or for the most part, just any of these companies, they know that this is a good opportunity to pump their price up. Their share count will be at its lowest in a long time, and it's that simple. You know, it's kind of this game that they're playing over and over and over again. So I know I'm not playing SCON today. Comes right off my list. We go to Riot, next biggest gainer, and yeah, still intraday chart still intact to me. Is this the backside? Who knows? I don't necessarily think so. It's still holding VWAP. It's still close enough to its highs that it can go on a run. It held the breakout beautifully today. It's a green day, and it's actually finishing more towards its highs than its lows. That being said, I don't really play Riot, so for now I'm not going to play it. I don't want to chase this either, and this is the kind of stock. All these Bitcoin stocks can get crushed really at any time. They're going to be heavily shorted, and there are tons and tons of bag holders, I'm sure, from these massive moves. So there's going to be a lot of overhead resistance here. You know, look at the massive volume it was doing during this period of time. There are going to be a lot of bag holders on this chart. So the float's bigger. Since this move, there's been some dilution in all of these Bitcoin stocks. So they're not going to move as quickly to the upside. That being said, it doesn't look like an extreme amount of dilution, nothing like Himini or like Dries or anything like that. But there has been some dilution, and the floats are bigger, so they're not going to move quite as fast. But that's kind of my process. So Riot, this is a decent chart. You know, this may make for a good swing here in the future. I'm just not, you know, I'm not sure about it. I'm not going to play it. Riot, NIHD was another one that I've actually discussed with a couple of you today. And yeah, this is a really good 52-week breakout, actually. I don't, you know, I'm not actively scanning for 52-week breakouts, but when I see them, it does pique my interest. You know, it is worth taking a look. Now, someone said buyout rumor at 20. I think Jesse said that. I don't care. So I'm not really, you know, buyout rumors. I have gotten caught up in them in the past, a long time ago. But then I realized I'll leave that to other people. You have no edge there. So buyout rumor, whatever, who cares? That's all it is a rumor, you know? And if that rumor doesn't have legs, which it probably won't, then this thing will probably collapse back downward, back towards the 4s or 3s, even with the 52-week breakout. So for me, the only play on this was the initial breakout of this 52-week high, 475, and then 450 was also some resistance here. But the 475 break, and you can see this morning, 470, so you got a little spike towards it. You got above it and a pull back to it. That would probably be my entry, okay? It's easy to say in retrospect, obviously, but this pull back to that breakout level and hold would have been a great entry. And you had a buck of upside there, so it would have been a decent trade. So 52-week breakout in and of itself, not necessarily, I mean, it can be somewhat of a catalyst, but you got to temper your expectations, especially with the float being a little bit bigger here. But I missed it, so no play. It is holding VWAP going into close. May get some continuation tomorrow. But it's also the second big green day. I don't want to chase above that breakout level. So NIHD, And again, we're just going through my process right now, going into Power Hour. I think it's really important. Riot, we got Mara, another Bitcoin stock. Similar pattern to Riot, gap up, and now it's just kind of deciding what it's going to do. It's just not a position I necessarily want to be in. This is, you know, the problem with these stocks is that they are tied to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin does, which Bitcoin trades 24/7, so if Bitcoin does tank overnight, then this is not going to gap up, okay? And same with Riot, same with NXTD. So like, you can be presented with you know, there's a lot of risk involved, in other words, especially when there is some momentum, but it's not, you know, it's not serious momentum yet. So yeah, you know, something like Mara, Riot, there's a lot of risk involved in these trades. That being said, if your risk is under control, which in this case, if I had to risk something today, it might just be the breakout level, maybe the 130s, which did hold. So it's not like this is up, you know, 200% and you're trying to get a gap up. It's only up a tiny bit. It's up 20%. So it's just, this is just, what this is there's nothing else going on in the markets today. Or yesterday, really. They've been very, very slow. So what we're doing is right now I'm going through my process. I know the markets are slow. I'm seeing if there is some opportunity here for an overnight or an end-of-day spike on any of these. And from what I see, you know, a lot of these are just kind of like 50-50 propositions. So one second, guys. Sorry, guys. So yeah, this is just me kind of digging around for a trade. You know, this isn't me saying that there are great trades out there right now to take, which this is the current market condition. I know that, so I'm kind of backing off a little bit. We got Riot holding up by its highs for now, though, and this is kind of my sector leader, if you will. I still have a little bit of BTSC, well, about 90,000 shares at 8.0865. And, you know, right now I don't feel great about it, but I don't feel like there's too much risk involved. Just a tough day, tough market conditions, guys. So you got to be patient. CVSI was a good patient play. It's probably the best play the last couple of days, in my opinion. And, you know, on that uplisting news, got some good continuation today. Really not much else. That would have been a good trade, in my opinion. A solid good trade. NIHD today was a decent 52-week breakout. CVSI was nice today, and now it's pushing its all-time highs. Or I mean, it's 52-week highs at least. Huh? Multiple year, yeah. I mean, and CVSI's got a good catalyst too, so. That being said, second green day approaching this resistance here, I'm not going to be buying it. Maybe a break of it, and then maybe buy on a pull or something, but no opinion for now. Anyways, questions. So that's kind of my process. Had I found something that I really liked, and just going through my scans, then I do have a little bit of time still, and I would be going through filings if need be. If there's some weird gap I see or something inconsistent in the chart, then I'll see why. I'll also dig into the filings if I do have time anyways. Right about this time, I'm usually going through filings if I'm looking to take a position, which I'm not. Questions. Okay, let's see here. Sorry, guys. David said, what's your take when taking a position on something like MGTI where it has the multi-day break at 1, pulled below, and now reclaimed? Yeah, I mean, that's just the only reason for that is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is going to be reacting in a certain fashion. So these, although the charts there is technical analysis involved in the charts, a lot of it comes down to what is Bitcoin doing, okay? So on something like MGTI, okay, definitely technical analysis is at play, okay? It is setting levels on the chart. It did bottom out here in 68 cents or so and double bottom. There is a breakout over 1. I actually like this. This is kind of a multi-day break, but like I said, so much of this has to do with Bitcoin that regardless of this daily chart setup, if something were to happen to Bitcoin, this is going to fail. See? So my take on something like MGTI is a little bit different. If this were a non-Bitcoin stock and it were something else, then this is bullish to me. You got a nice breakout occurring here with some consolidation, some pull. You got a spike, pull, and then consolidation and a break. So you get a nice little multi-day breakout there. But like I said, it is Bitcoin, and Bitcoin and all, Bitcoin is going to have bag holders too. So I don't see Bitcoin necessarily going parabolic to 20K overnight. And these are not going to go parabolic to, in MGTI's case, high 8s. That's not going to happen. You have to have realistic expectations. It'll probably be something more like this, where you get kind of maybe a swing for a couple days and you're able to take it. That's kind of the key to these plays. And this is what's so important about being nimble with your decision making and making sure you're taking the macro picture into account. You have to take the big picture into account here. So it's the same process that goes into every single trade, right? What's the big picture? What's the daily chart doing? Well, daily chart, there's going to be bag holders galore from these big spikes, no matter what. A lot of people are not day traders. A lot of people, especially when it came to Bitcoin and this explosion that happened in Bitcoin in January, are people who were trying to buy these companies hoping that they were going to go into the hundreds or whatever. And then they don't know what to do when they go down, and they figure it can't keep going down, so they just keep holding. And then as these things pop up and people are starting to break even again, they're going to sell into it. So you got to be careful for that. You know, it hasn't, you know, these stocks have done decent volume since then, but nothing like this kind of volume that we saw back in December. So on a case like MGTI, which we're talking about Bitcoin stocks right now, same with Riot, same with Mara, same with all of these. These are kind of all in this lumped together for me. Yes, there's technical analysis at play, but there's also something greater at play when it comes to these stocks, which is the Bitcoin itself, BTC USD. That's really important. And like I said, since it's running 24/7, you have no control over what that does. It can tank overnight, you know, while you're sleeping, and then you wake up to a big gap down, and then all of this technical analysis goes out the window for the most part. So you know, on a trade like this, you got to take that into account. You got the daily chart into account, get the float size into account. It's a little bit bigger now, not going to move quite as fast. And then you also have to take our markets into account, which are the penny stock markets have been slow for several days. You know, nothing's been going parabolic like it was a couple weeks ago. So I lump all of these trades together: MGTI, Riot, obviously Mara, even NXTD. They could hold up as long as Bitcoin holds up. If Bitcoin presses on, then we should see these press on for the most part. Okay. Now they don't move perfectly with Bitcoin, and there are days where Bitcoin's up and these are down. But for now, that's my take. Okay. You get good chart breakouts today on all of these stocks. But that's partially because Bitcoin has held up. So the cool thing is that you are able to watch Bitcoin and gauge off of that. If you see Bitcoin going nuts and these stocks haven't moved, sometimes you're able to get in early, which is cool. But I've played these stocks so many times now, you know, since they've started. I've played them every time they've gotten hot, so 3, 4, 5 times. Prior to Riot and Mara and NXTD and DPW and all these other stocks that claim to be blockchain out of nowhere back in December, it was all OTCs, and there were only a few of them. It was BTSC, which I made a lot of money on BTSC back in this run, on all these runs actually. Back during this run, this run, BTSC, BTCS, MGTI was kind of a late converter for the OTCs, but it is a Bitcoin stock. GAHC was a really cheapo, still really cheapo. BITCF, I don't know if that still trades even. I don't think it does. Does it? Maybe it does. BITCF, you know, there are a bunch of stocks like this. So, but it used to be just OTCs, and then back in December, all the, you know, when Bitcoin went on that epic run towards 20,000, you had all these listed stocks saying, "Hey, I no longer sell IST. We are now a Bitcoin company." Or we no longer sell cameras. We're a Bitcoin company. Kodak, KODK. You know, they had some Bitcoin stuff, and they ran in 2 days to $13, $3 to $13. But that's a camera company, and they're like, "Oh, we're blockchain," and boom. That being said, it's all the way back down now. But so I hope that answered your question, David. Like, it's really, there's a gray area there, because you have one of your indicators is rolling 24/7 and constantly changing, right? So Bitcoin stocks, there is added risk because of that, and you have to be aware of that. But as long as Bitcoin goes up, which you don't know whether or not it's going to, you should get what you want out of the sympathy plays, okay? Kodak hasn't done anything, not even in sympathy. Kodak's like dead. Yeah, hope that makes sense. But it's very important, you know? It's very important to get the correct thought process dealing with any of these plays. every trade should be that same process, you know? What's the daily chart? What's the float size? What's the catalyst? Is there a catalyst? What else is at play that is going to affect this stock? How's the sector doing? All that kind of stuff. How are the overall markets doing? How's SPY? And then how are the penny stock market doing? How's the penny stock market doing? So, yeah. Next question. Tango asks, is there a place where you have your scanner settings so I can duplicate them on TOS or STT? Yeah, I'll throw them. I'll put them here in the chat and then pin them to the top for you. Yeah, so these Bitcoin stocks, I made a ton of money on these Bitcoin stocks back in December, and then several months prior to that, I made a ton of money on them. And I mean, it's a matter of there's some luck involved. Like Bitcoin was going crazy. Cool thing about that is I knew these stocks. You know, once you go through sector momentum many times, you start to realize how they work. And you find the sympathy plays a little bit quicker than everyone, and you're able to take more size because you have more conviction and all that good stuff. John asks, do you rely on the market view more than a specific scan? Yeah, I mean, I use market view all the time, and you know, like I said, I don't necessarily recommend it, but that's how I see sector momentum real quick. You know. And that's kind of why I have this low volume scan. It just kind of allows me to see if a sector's moving. So, I mean, it's like, for example, this is just really simple, but you got Riot, Mara, Grow, I think has some blockchain, MGTI, BTSC, NXTD. So like, you know, a good portion of my top percent gainers on any sort of volume whatsoever, under 15 bucks or whatever, are Bitcoin stocks. So I know to look there, look to see what Bitcoin's doing. All these charts are very similar. BTSC's chart, Riot, NXTD, they all have very similar charts, but and that's why I use this. I have my other scan too. I'll throw it up tomorrow when we do this. And that allows me to filter out the noise and see what's really in play, you know, what's trading good volume. Mike asks, do I filter out any sectors in my market view? No, I don't filter any sectors out. Stock types, I don't really filter anything out of my market view. A lot of this stuff won't ever really show up on here anyways. Markets, I've got all the markets on here. Oh, you can't see that for some reason when I click that, I think. Huh. We'll get that sorted out. But yeah, I try this, like I said, the market view, I just try to keep as much, I want to see as much information as possible. This is just casting the biggest possible web, you know? I mean, I've got like thousands of tickers on here, but not playing them. So. One sec, guys. So I'm actually not going to be able to trade. We got about 10 more minutes left in today's webinar. I have to run home and deal with an insurance guy again, which sucks, but. John asked, do I generally leave the market view sorted by percent change? Yes. And then I have 10% percent change here. So I'll throw that on occasionally just to see, especially in the afternoon, see what's running, if there's anything running. But for the most part, I just keep it there. This is just for me to see the top gainers. That's it. On any sort of volume, I just want to see the top gainers. Even if it's low volume, you know, if there's a news release or something like that that I can click on and see maybe, oh, a PR just dropped, then that's helpful to me, you know. That's why I do this. For people who have no clue what they're doing, this is way too much information, way too many tickers to narrow down. But for me, it works really well. I don't miss anything, you know, for the most part. Tango asked, can I go over Pixie? He traded it today, did great, but would like to hear thoughts on it. Setup was first green day. Everyone in chat helped out this past week. Cool. Pixie. Yeah, first green day yesterday. Good setup. Earnings winner. So you know what the original catalyst was. And it's kind of like PED, actually. You know, you got a spike in the close yesterday, pull back, and then rip. So, I mean, very similar to PED's pattern. I love first green day. You know, this thing had a big day on earnings, came all the way back down to that breakout level, basically, and then had its first green day, finished green. Would have been a great overnight, just difficult, because if you're buying this spike into close on the first green day, you know, if you're buying this at 350, you got to sit through this pullback to 330, which is why when a stock kind of goes parabolic into the afternoon like that, you don't necessarily want to be chasing. If you were buying the pullback into close, maybe back in like the 330s, then that's a little different. But 1 second, you guys, sorry. So, sorry guys, keep getting calls, gotta deal with. Pixie. So yeah, I mean, you would have had to sit through this pool. So you don't want to necessarily just buy any parabolic spike into close. You know what I mean? Then you're setting yourself up for this exact scenario. If I was playing this yesterday, you know, it would have had to be like kind of break of the high, you know, going into power hour. That would have worked out decently, 313, and you could have sold some in at the pop and held some. So 342 today, because that's a good buy. And then if you were selling into that perk and that pop, then that's, you know, that's a good buy. Yesterday. So yeah, kind of a chase, but first green day, I mean, it's pretty powerful, you know, and the fact that it held up and then perked some more. I can't say I wouldn't have bought it at 342, at least gotten some shares. 377, that's a good gain, you know. It's tough in retrospect to say what I would or would not have done, you know. It's very tough in retrospect, so it's kind of hard to go over a chart and price action that I didn't get to watch. I didn't get to watch the level 2 and see what was happening, but in terms of the overall pattern, first green day is a sweet pattern. Couple more questions and I got to bail here in another 5 minutes, guys. Sorry. Yeah, Mike, it would have been good to see a little bit more volume for sure. But that being said, this thing could still get some more squeeze, and I don't really have too much hopes for it, but. All right, guys, I think we're going to wrap up today so I can be on time. But yeah, so those are my thoughts. Obviously, we got Bitcoin, but it's dependent on Bitcoin, which trades 24/7. So got to be safe on those plays. I'm going to hold some BTSC overnight. We'll see what happens. I may have to cut in the morning. If that's the case, you guys will get to watch me cut. We'll see. I'll have a plan. Dom, I got you today. Sorry, man. Just got a little messed up there. Tingle Becker said, so when this is over, how do I rewatch the video? You should just be able to go to the link and watch it. You should be able to just go to the link and watch it. So be careful again. Another slow day. No problem. Just got to sit through the slow times. Don't be forcing things. Maybe we'll get a runner tomorrow. We'll see. So we'll chat in the morning. I'll be in the chat probably a little bit today. So we'll talk to you guys soon.